Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin, your host, and today I'm just joined by Mr. Jesse Schule as Sean Higgs has the day off. It's Tuesday, October the 24th, by the way, and I think Higgsy just is counting all his money today and going to the bank with it because he's been doing awfully well of late. But anyway, you're here. And I'm glad to see you. So how are you, Jesse?
Well, Ross, it's been a rough few days for me. 2-8 overall the last 3 days. So if Higgs is counting his money, it's probably some of my money that he's counting. The bookmakers took it from me and they're giving it to Higgs. But it's still been a decent month overall. I did get an email this morning asking if I was confident that things would turn around. And from my point of view, this is just part of the process. A couple bad days. We don't need to start talking about turning things around. We just need to take our lumps and keep on going. Overall numbers for the month, for the year, still look pretty good.
Yeah, we've been taking some heat in the comments about the free picks as well. Bottom line is, folks, is nobody wins every day. And as good a handicapper as Jesse is, and he's a great one, not a good one. He's a great one. You look at our leaderboard over at gamblersWORLD.net, and he's number 3 over the last 30 days. He's number 2 since the site's inception. If you look at many of the other sites across the internet, you'll see him regularly on the leaderboard. So, again, we beat on our chest when we win, but as you can see, we operate with the utmost integrity, and we also are very transparent when things aren't going well. Not to, how could I put this? I know it sounds like I'm bragging here, but I just want to say 5-1 the last 2 days, and I'll go over the rest of my records later in the show. So, and then tell you what we have coming up as well. But Jesse, San Francisco, I know we're talking college football today. By the way, Jesse will be discussing Oklahoma and Kansas. I'll be looking at Oregon State and Arizona. But San Francisco last night falls to Minnesota, and all of a sudden the 49ers hit a little bit of a snag after starting in season 5-0. They've now lost their last 2 against Minnesota and Cleveland. Your observations, if any, that you witnessed from last night's result?
Well, Ross, I was at the pool today. I wasn't watching the game, I must confess. I'm on a bit of a holiday in Malaysia. I noticed that the Vikings got the upset, but it was a rough spot for San Francisco. Expect the unexpected in the NFL, and just when you think you know where a team's at and who the good teams are, expect that to change again. I guess I'd like to say no surprises. Anything can happen in the NFL.
All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes, and and Jesse loves meat and potatoes, and I don't want to keep him too long today, nor you folks as well. We all got a lot to do, including you guys, and just a friendly reminder, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you'll see a WC logo right there in the bottom right-hand corner of your page. If you're watching on your PC, if you're watching on your smart TV or your mobile device, a black subscribe button right underneath the video box. Click on that. Absolutely free to do so, folks. There's no hidden agenda. There's no traps here. You just privy to the best sports betting podcast on the internet today with some of the best handicappers in the country right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. And folks, one step further, if you have subscribed and you haven't done this, or you're a new subscriber, go into your YouTube settings and click on that alert notification bell for the the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon us publishing any of our podcasts right here on this channel. And we operate Monday through Friday. We do 6 shows a week. And Friday, me, Jesse, and Sean will be doing, as always, our live show, which begins at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So you don't want to miss that. It's your opportunity to chime in with all your questions and comments at that time. All right, Jesse, Oklahoma at Kansas, pretty intriguing matchup. Oklahoma -10, and the total is 66. The Sooners escaped with their life last week in a narrow 2-point win over Central Florida, a game in which they were a hefty 17.5-point closing favorite. They opened at 19.5. In Kansas, enjoying a nice season as well. We know the Jayhawks could score. Are they going to be able to stop Oklahoma at all?
Well, Ross, Kansas beat that Central Florida team by 29 points a couple weeks ago, and then Central Florida almost upsets Oklahoma. So it's easy, right? We're just going to take Kansas. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out most of the time, and that's not how we handicap games. But I am going to look at Kansas here. Jalen Daniels, Lance Leopold has said he's going to be either questionable or doubtful, so it doesn't sound good for a return for Jalen Daniels. Jason Bean's been quite serviceable, though. 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, 913 yards passing. He went off for 410 yards and 5 touchdowns against Oklahoma State in their last game. And Kansas, coming off of a bye week, gives them plenty of time to prepare for this home game against Oklahoma. With or without Jalen Daniels, I like Lance Leopold to scheme enough plays to score enough points to keep this game close. I don't know about stopping Oklahoma. I would expect it to be a back and forth shootout type of game. But, I think we saw that Oklahoma has their flaws, and Kansas is a team that's more than capable of being competitive at home. And if you look at Oklahoma's schedule, Ross, this looks like their toughest remaining game. They're probably going to be an even bigger favorite in the rest of their games going forward. And they look very good to be undefeated heading into the Big 12 championship game. So, could they suffer? Yeah. They avoided a letdown last week. I think they could potentially suffer a letdown here this week against a well-rested Kansas team.
All right. So Jesse likes Kansas plus the 10 at home over Oklahoma. I think this is going to be, like you said, a back and forth game. I could see a really high scoring affair. Now, the total is 66, and it's that high for good reason. 2 really good quarterbacks, 2 productive and explosive offenses. And I think this game could approach 80 in terms of the total. So I'm going to have a slight lean toward the over 66 in this game. But our official pick from Jesse Schule is Kansas plus the 10 at home over Oklahoma. All right, I'm going to be looking at the Arizona and Oregon State game. That game will be played at Arizona. Oregon State is a 3.5-point road favorite in this contest. Oregon State is 6-1 straight up, and their only loss came at Washington State, a game that actually was a lot not as close as the final score would indicate, 38-35. But Oregon State's enjoying a really good year. And they're still alive for the Pac-12 championship. And if you win the Pac-12 this year and you only have 1 loss, you're going to have a decent opportunity to make the playoff. Now, before we put the cart before the horse, let's a little bit alarming here when I look at Oregon State, Jesse. They've allowed 430 yards or more in 3 of their last 4 games now. And speaking of Washington State, Arizona went to Washington State last week and just pulverized them 44-6. If you look at Arizona's last 3 games, this is a team that's really coming on. Although they lost 2 of those 3, look at the quality of competition they faced. They lost to Washington 31-24. It's an undefeated Huskies team. They go to the Coliseum in Los Angeles to face USC as a double-digit underdog, a sizable one. And they take USC to 3 overtimes before losing 43-41. And then last Saturday's blowout at Washington State. So in the last 2 games versus USC and Washington State, the Wildcats have combined to score 85 points and gain 1,023 yards. So their offense is humming. And remember, I said Oregon State, my one concern with them right now is they've given up 430 yards or more in 3 of their last 4. And also in those games against USC and Washington State, they outgained those 2 quality teams by a combined 424 yards. Yes, Arizona is only 4-3 straight up, but all three of their losses have come by 7 points or fewer. And they're also 4-0 against the spread as an underdog this season. So I'm going to go with the home underdog here, Jesse. I like the way Arizona is coming on. I think this might be a potential flat spot for Oregon State. I like Arizona here, plus 3.5 against Oregon State. Your thoughts, my man?
Well, Ross, I do like the Beavers. I like backing the Beavers, but the book on Oregon State is you bet on them at home and not on the road, especially as a favorite on the road. This is, not a great spot for backing Oregon State.
All right, we had a little bit of a transmission problem there with Jesse. There he is. He's back. So, again, Jesse, you were mentioning that Oregon State back them at home but not on the road. And then you got cut off there. So any final thoughts on that we missed?
Yeah, that's pretty much the skinny of it. I like backing Oregon State at home. I don't like backing them as a road favorite. You did mention USC, and I think it's interesting. USC led the nation in turnover margin last year, Ross, and now that has flipped on its head. USC isn't the same team as they were last season. They're not getting those turnovers. And perhaps that's part of the reason why they're struggling. And perhaps they were overvalued based on the fact that they led the nation in turnover margin.
Well, Caleb Williams has looked actually human the last couple games. He was not good against Notre Dame. But one thing that hasn't changed with USC over the last 2 years is they have a championship caliber offense, but a not very good defense whatsoever. So I think that's more the hindrance than the turnover margin, but the turnover margin, as you alluded to, certainly isn't helping their cause. So repeating again, folks, Jesse likes the Kansas Wildcats plus the 10 over the Kansas Jayhawks, plus the 10 over the Oklahoma Sooners. And Ross Benjamin, yours truly, likes the Arizona Wildcats. And they're plus 3.5 at home against Oregon State. Those are our official picks. Both games go on Saturday. And Jesse, tell the folks a little bit about what's going on with Jesse Schule. You already said you hit a little bit of a rough spot, but still, you've been doing awfully well overall. And what you may have coming up this week, the NBA starts tonight, Jesse.
Well, Ross, you're doing well if you can go on a 2-8 run over a 3-day period and still appear on most of the leaderboards. So still top 3 for the last 30 days overall. Number 2 overall on the site at gamblersworld.net. Number 2 with baseball the last 30 days. I'm on a nice 11-1 CFL run with the playoffs in the CFL starting soon. And soccer is also one of my best sports. We got a Champions League play tonight, or it'll be the afternoon for folks stateside, but it'll be the middle of the night for me. And I plan on going out with my young son, and we're going to go watch some Champions League football and maybe have a couple pops.
Champions League soccer.
We call it football over here, Ross.
I know you call it football over there, but I just had to add that in. Anyway, myself over at gamblersworld.net, things have gone awfully well. I'm not on the top 3 leaderboard at the last 30 days, and that's been a long time since that occurred. But in any event, I've gone 5-1 the last 2 days. Actually won last night again in the NFL, having the under in the Minnesota-San Francisco game. Also cashed in big with the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers over the total. So my NFL right now, since I started 2-5 in week 1, since that time, since week 2 on, I'm 20-11 in the NFL. College football, like I mentioned yesterday, 6-9 over the last 2 weeks, but still college football, 27-14 since September 14th. Going back to December 2nd of last year, 48-28. That's good for 63%. Major League Baseball, the playoffs right now on an 8-2 run. And also since August the 4th, 57-33 with my Major League Baseball picks. And folks, that's somewhere around between 63 and 64%. And I do not give out big favorites, so your return on investment will be awfully good. And finally, winning runs in all sports, just on a terrific roll over the last few months. All sports 69-37 and 117-74 runs, folks. Both well over 60%. And again, you could find me at gamblersworld.net, where not only myself, but all the great handicappers at gamblersworld.net. If you don't win, you don't make a profit on your single game, multi-game daily packages, or all subscription plans of 30 days or fewer, we will credit your account back the exact amount as you spent on that particular package. In any event, Jesse, there's a like button right underneath. So tell the folks what they need to do with that like button.
You got to remember to smash that like button.
Hotel security will now be up in Jesse's room because of that shrieking loud. Hit that like button, and folks, you know what? It's just a small token of your appreciation for the work, time, effort that we put into putting out a quality product on our podcast and to making you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. For Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, just a friendly reminder before we go, we'll be back this afternoon with Chip Chirimbus and Paul Bovey. We'll be talking the NFL, and then Jesse and Sean will be back with us tomorrow morning, and we'll be talking more college football. But for Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.